All right, y'all, welcome back and happy Wednesday. For the past couple of days, we've been breaking down Tennessee versus Georgia. It's time for my keys to victory for Tennessee and a game prediction. Y'all, please like and please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. We're getting really close to 10,000 subs, and we would love to hit it on the Georgia week. We're going to be starting off with the injuries. We don't typically do it on the first Wednesday video. We would wait until the midweek chat, which we're going to be doing at 7:30 tonight live. We hope that y'all can all join us. And my dog Ruck from Straight Up Tennessee, who has a really good channel, he's going to be joining us. Timmy G, J-Pack, they'll also be joining us. We'll just be talking about the matchup with everybody. Y'all can talk some trash inside of the chat. So Georgia fans, y'all are actually going to be welcome for it. This year, we don't typically let that happen. But either way, later on tonight, we're going to get the real SEC injury list for both of these teams, and we'll go through and talk about that. That'll definitely be part of the show. But looking at this list, we'll actually start off with Georgia. The players in yellow, actually, for both of these teams, I feel like will have a good opportunity to actually go on Saturday. We'll start off with Juan Gasson, who would be their starting right guard. He's a true freshman, 6'7", 360. Looks pretty good out there. But I'm not sure, man. I was going back through watching film, and I actually caught the play that he got injured on. I missed it all the other times. But I don't know. I hate to speculate, but I think it might be some type of an ankle sprain. If that's the case, with him being so big, he probably hasn't even been putting weight on that for the past couple of weeks. I don't think that he's going to be able to go in this one. I think that they might try to hold him out for the Alabama game, which they have a bye week next week, and then they get Bama. That will give him some more time to get more healthy. But sprained ankles is more about pain tolerance, so he might be able to actually play. We'll see. Ernest Green, he'd be their starting right tackle, so we're talking about the whole right side of their offense. I think that he's going to be fine. I think that he will go, probably a little bit banged up, but I think that he's going to go. If he can't go, y'all, the drop-off at right tackle behind him is just immense. It's tremendous. And there's a pretty sizable drop-off, I think, from, Juan Gaston to his backups as well. So that's something for us to watch out for as Tennessee fans. Definitely never wishing injuries on anybody. Don't want to see people getting hurt. Don't want to see people getting injured. And I would like to be able to beat them at full strength, but I'm going to start to roll out some film of Georgia's offensive line at some point today so that y'all can see how that looks. They got some real issues, y'all, and I'm talking about for real issues. So talking about Tennessee's players, I could see Jackson Moore coming back today. That'd be big to add the depth on the inside of our defensive line. Him with Bryson Easton, I think that could be a big time problem. We only got to see him for maybe part of the first series versus Syracuse, 2 weeks ago. So him coming back, that's going to be huge. And I don't know that he will, but I'm hoping that he's going to be able to go. And then David Sanders, man, he should be our starting right tackle. Hasn't played so far in this season, but the offensive line's looked really good. So if he can go, is he going to be the starter? Does the offensive line get better if he comes back? I don't know, but that's another one that we have to watch very closely. And then we have Tyree Weathersby, a strong side end, who just missed last week, but I think that he played good in the first game versus Syracuse. Would love to have him back. Like I said, he might be mostly going up against the right side of their offensive line. I think that he could definitely cause some problems. So with all those things being said, y'all, let's go on ahead and jump into my keys for the game. Number one, we have to win the turnover battle. Everyone knows this. In these big-time matchups, you got to take good care of the football. Joey Aguilar is going to throw the football in cover some, which I think could be positive, but take calculated risk. Let's not fumble the ball. We got to fight for the ball. At the far this year, Nate Frazier, he has an issue fumbling, so let's go punch at that football. Key number two is to start fast, and not just with the score, which Tennessee's done a pretty good job of versus Georgia in a couple of these matchups. Hasn't really made too much of a difference. I'm talking more about in the drives. Like the first play, we got to have positive yardage. We need to have positive plays because Tennessee wants to run tempo in this game, and we have to have positive plays for that to happen. And all I'm showing y'all is just passing plays, but definitely running the football is going to be a huge part of it. Tennessee's going to stick to the run first, but we've changed some things to our offensive system that we talked about last season. We've got to actually get to him. Don't just pressure him. Don't just get him off the spot. Get him on the ground. We don't need kill shots. Hold on to him. Let your teammates rally, whatever, but just hold him up and don't let him just run wild. That'll be big for us for sure, which is also part of key number four. Man, we have to contain Gunnar Stockton, who does a good job getting outside the pocket, but he'll also step up in the pocket. So the pass rushing lanes, from the left side of the defensive line to the right side to the linebackers, everything, it's got to be on point. And also whoever's spying the quarterback, we got to do a great job of limiting what he does with his legs. Key number five is also for the defense, Gunnar Stockton's legs. That's going to be big as well. Key number six, run at will. I'm talking about on short yardage situations, in any situation. If we need to run the football, if we want to run the football, we have to be able to do it. Only 4.5 to maybe 5 yards per carry is good enough, y'all. Doesn't have to be big gashing plays like what you're seeing right here. But like I've said, Some of the scheme changes I think will help us to do this. And also, Tennessee's offensive line is significantly better than I think it's ever been for Coach Heupel from a mental standpoint. Georgia sets you up with these plays early on in every ball game, and then they've got the deep shots that come down the field after that. That comes off of the setups. These are busts in coverage pretty much that you're looking at. Do we know what to do? I think that Tennessee's in a good spot from that standpoint where we can and will execute and not have those mental lapses. So, with all those things being said, let's start it off with Tennessee's defense versus Georgia's offense. Tennessee fans feel like Georgia's going to try to run the football at us because we're kind of light versus what we typically are, on the inside of our defensive line. We'll see what happens there. They're also worried about the middle of the field passes. I think that we're taking a step forward with the linebackers that have seen this offense for several years. I think that we have better athletes there. We have safeties and all of that type of stuff, cornerbacks, everybody. I just think that the pass coverage is going to be better. I also feel like the pressure is going to be better getting to the quarterback. So that should help out with all those things. But every offensive coordinator has an opening script. It's typically about 15 plays or so. We know that with Coach Bobo, his opening script is more about testing things. So he probably will try to run some inside zone and see how Tennessee's defensive tackles hold up. And we also, showed y'all that last year they ran pull lead the best versus Tennessee. I think that they averaged like 3.7 yards per carry, but they'll test that out too and see, hey, is Tennessee doing just as good last year or is it worse? Is this something that we can go to? They're going to test us out in space. They're definitely going to be testing our young secondary players down the field. That'll probably happen early on. They won't probably be able to get to everything in the opening drive. Hopefully not, because if they do, it means that they had a really, really long drive. So just like bits and pieces here and there, and everyone has to plan until they get smacked in the mouth. I think that's what Coach Banks is going to try to do early on in this game. Bring the pressure, and I'm talking about real blitzes like 6-man pressures, 7-man pressures, and heat them up. We've got to do that because we didn't do it so much last year, and we'll see how that works for us. But I think it'll end up getting Coach Bobo off of that opening script, and then it should turn into like a real game. Once it settles into a game, like I said, I feel confident with the pass rush. I think that our defensive ends can win versus their offensive tackles who don't look nearly as good as they did last season. We should be able to get pressure from that standpoint. Bring the pressure from the outside too, right? Like bring the blitzes from the outside with cornerbacks, with our star players, with our safeties. I think that that'll also help out tremendously. But they got Coach Bobo's son playing at center, who I don't think he's some world beater by any means. I think that we can beat him with our tackles, whether that's Bryson Easton or any of those guys, but especially if it's Bryson Easton alongside of Jackson Moy running the stunts, like all the things that we saw Notre Dame's defense do to Gunnar Stockton and Georgia's offense in the playoff game last year. We need to try to replicate as much of that as possible. So maybe more man-to-man coverage, man with some zone concepts, with some quarterback spies, and running the stunts up front, bringing the pressures from different spots early and often. I think that's the game plan. Now, we can't always play man. We're going to have to play some zone as well. But what I've noticed is that our all of our players in coverage look a lot better playing zone, where they're not just covering grass. Like they understand the route concepts that are coming for the most part. They can get to the depth, and they're sticking on to people. I think that that'll minimize some of those windows. But also looking at Gunnar Stockton so far this year, he's like, once he starts running, which he's been doing a whole lot of, once he starts to run, he's not really looking down the field to try to pass. So I don't think that we have to worry too much if we get pressure on him with him throwing the football down the field. I'm not overly concerned with us stopping Georgia's running game. Not with their running backs. They'll do some jet sweeps and things like that. Again, just got to be disciplined. Okay, if you have an edge to set the edge. Don't let things cross your face. Understand what you're doing mentally. And just, use your speed. Hold people up. Force them back to whatever side that you're supposed to be forcing them back to. Typically back to the inside, right? Like maintain leverage, all that, football jargon, right? But I think that Tennessee's defense is going to play very, very well in this game. I trust our secondary. I think it's going to be much better in man-to-man coverage than what we've seen previously. And I just think that from top to bottom, Tennessee is going to be fine. The only thing that I'm really worried about is Gunnar Stockton's legs. If we have a good game plan for that, which Coach Banks typically does, then I think that Tennessee can hold their offense to about 17 points. Now let's talk about Tennessee's offense versus Georgia's defense. This is something else. People are worried about it because they're saying, man, Kirby's smart. He understands how to stop Tennessee's defense. That's pretty true in previous years. And I can tell you exactly what's been going on. So Tennessee runs these wide splits most of the time. And actually versus Georgia, we mix things up. So we ran more like tight splits, but still not as much as they'll see versus this year. And we're running choice routes. Choice routes just means that we're reading one half of the field and they're running a route based off of the coverage that the defense gives to them. And you've just got two reads, basically. So Georgia's just been playing deep, even if it's man-to-man coverage, which they mostly run quarters coverage, which just means that 4 players are playing deep, safeties are playing kind of like run first. It's kind of a funky coverage, but either way, if they ever play man, it's not really true press up at the line of scrimmage, man, because they'll always have some safety help over the top versus our offense. So understanding those things, Tennessee, whenever we see deep coverage, we have to throw the football underneath and to the outside. And just because we can't come back to the inside because everything is clogged up, we can go to the outside because our splits are way too wide. So it was pretty easy for them just to sit on everything that Tennessee's doing down the field. We had the dink and dunk. And then if we ever try to go down the field, they were bringing blitzes, and we didn't do a good job of picking up the different blitz packages that Georgia had last season. The beautiful thing, though, y'all, is that this offensive line is significantly better than it was last year in run blocking, and also, I would say, even more so in pass protection. They're passing things off a lot better with the different stunts and with the different blitzes. We're not going to probably pick up every single one of them. They'll get some pressure sometimes, but I think we'll pick it up a lot better than we did last year, on top of the fact that we've added some new wrinkles to our system. This is really, y'all, this is almost like a totally new offense. It's totally different. With the tighter splits, you have different route combinations. We also have different like route and passing concepts where it's not just half field reads. We have some full field reads in there now. So everything has opened up. We've got, a lot more pre-snap movement. We can get the football to our running backs, to our tight ends out in space, to some playmakers outside. We touched on Joey Aguilar. He'll throw up those 50-50 balls. It might look like a guy's covered up. He's going to let our wide receivers take the chance or, have the chance to be able to make the catch. And if they can win most of those, really, I think that they need to, probably win like all of them, honestly speaking. Tennessee is going to be perfectly fine. I think that we'll put up points. I think we'll put up a lot more points than what people think. Listen, Georgia's defense is very, very talented, but it's more about the scheme, I think, than anything else. That's why we saw what Ole Miss did to them last year, right? They had a field day throwing the football on them with the exact same system that Tennessee runs. They just ran it better than us. They had the answers. They had the wrinkles. So passing the football, they looked great, even with their backup quarterback. It's going to be the same thing. Georgia's defense plays overly disciplined at times. They play without common sense. They just do exactly what they're told. They're like robots or like soldiers. So I think that we can, win from that standpoint. And I'm just talking about the passing game right now, y'all. Once we get to the actual rushing, we know that versus that mid front, it's tough to run right at people, which is what Tennessee normally does with inside zone. Now, last season, we know that we did a really good job with our power running game. I think we're averaging 7.4 yards per carry in our power game. That's something that we kind of added and did more of versus Georgia last season. We can keep on replicating that. But now, whenever we tighten things up with the splits, yes, we can still run inside zone. We can still run power. But if we're running pistol, we can do a lot more outside zone, a lot more stretch plays, which is the weakness to a mid-front defense. Tennessee's been doing a lot of that, and it looks really, really good. So I think that running the football will look even better than it did last year. Again, we had like 146 yards on the ground, and that's taking out yards for sacks, which I think we got sacked 5 times last year or something like that. So we will be perfectly fine from that standpoint. I'm really not concerned about it. I hope that Joey Aguilar shows his legs some. That'll open things up even more. But I just think that our scheme is in such a good place that he might not even need to do that. Just take good care of the football, run good routes. Y'all get open. If you're getting held or whatever, make sure that the referee sees that. I think that they'll throw the flag more, but I don't think it'll be as much of an issue in this game as it was, in the previous years, because number one, Georgia's cornerbacks aren't as handsy. I think they actually look better out in coverage, like with real skills and all of that. But also with the tighter splits, it's hard for them to come up and press everybody because we're so bunched up. They can't play up at the line of scrimmage. They have to play off. So we should be fine. Like, I'm feeling really confident about this matchup. And like I said, I'm not going to give y'all a score until Saturday, but we will talk about special teams really quick, and I'll tell you who I think is going to win this game. So we typically don't even talk about special teams, but this one I think we need to, because Zachariah Branch is a guy I don't think Tennessee wants to kick to. Boo Carter's a guy I don't think Georgia wants to kick to. That could have a really big impact on the field position in this game, because you might have some kicks that are too short, or whatever. And you also have to watch out. Will these guys muff the punch? Will they try to do too much? So that's a really big factor as well in this game. And then the field goal kicker and the games that might be pretty tight, always a major factor, and we might talk more about that on Saturday's pregame show. But with all those things being said, I am picking Tennessee to win this game. I think that there's a lot of things that's going very positive in Tennessee's favor at this point. Of course, we got to get to the game and see how things play out, but I feel really, really good just because what we saw, previously is, hey, Tennessee gets off to these fast starts. I think we might have got up by 10, maybe 17 points down in Athens last season, but then second half, things totally changed. It's just because we didn't have the proper answers on more so offense. Not as much on defense. I think that the defense kind of got gassed, but the offense gets off to a good start in this one. I think that we'll be able to hold on to it. So those are my thoughts. Y'all please share yours down in that comment section. And also hope that y'all can join us tonight at 7:30 for that midweek chat. Like I said, my dog Ruck from Straight Up Tennessee is going to be joining us. Y'all go check his channel out as well. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll be talking to y'all tonight. Thanks. Peace. Thanks for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because that keeps us growing inside of the YouTube algorithm. And if you did like this video, here's another one that you might also enjoy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.